Yo, did the ninth largest country in the world with a whopping $2.1 trillion GDP just make a massive Bitcoin pivot? Ever since Donald Trump planned to buy 1 million Bitcoin, it's creating the nation state FOMO around the world, and this country bordering the US is looking to follow suit. Today, we're going to be exposing why this Bitcoin nation state arm race is really kicking into overdrive and why you may not be prepared for what's coming next. So who are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a country that implemented one of the most hostile Bitcoin attacks in 2022. And this country is also ranked, quote, the 5th most democratic country in the entire world. And getting a little more specific, the city is making this Bitcoin play in the home of one of the largest housing bubbles in the world and jam-packed with a ton of awesome Bitcoiners. So things are starting to heat up, guys. It's getting crazy out there in nation state FOMO. But let's play this clip before we get into and break everything down for you.
Submit a notice of motion to the Standing Committee meeting on Wednesday, December 11th for a motion titled Preserving of the City's Purchasing Power Through Diversification of Financial Resources, Becoming a Bitcoin-Friendly City.
You heard that correct, guys. Preserving the purchasing power of the city and becoming a Bitcoin city. But I'm guessing you're still wondering which city it is. So that was the mayor of Vancouver in Canada proposing a motion for the city to hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh my goodness, Simply Bitcoin hitting the clickbait once again. Well, no, yes, this is just one city so far in Canada, but there is interesting developments happening in the whole entire country of Canada. So let's move forward a little bit. We got some articles here, of course. Here's a headline from Politico about Pierre Poilievre. Sorry, bro. I can't speak French. And it's titled, Pierre is the man who could beat Justin Trudeau. Now, why are we even talking about Pierre? Well, obviously, you guys know Justin Trudeau is not a fan of Bitcoin. He famously attacked the trucker convoy where Bitcoiners showed up and was able to get Bitcoin into the hands of the protesting truckers. And it was international news story, right? Well, let's look at the polls right now. It looks like Canadians are not happy with Justin Trudeau in general, and Pierre is leading on the polls, leading with a 41.5% lead in the polls. Justin Trudeau, who obviously is in control right now, losing favor in Canada at 23.3%. Well, if you aren't a Bitcoiner, maybe you don't know that Pierre Poilievre is very famously a Bitcoiner, and the Trudeau administration has actively attacked Pierre for his Bitcoin stance. So let's see this little, hit piece that they put out there. There's got some clips of Pierre talking favorably for Bitcoin, and you can kind of see the bent and the angle that the Trudeau administration has been taking.
Opti, it's not playing.
It's not playing for you. Here, let me send this to you, Nico.
No, you're just not sharing the tab. That's all.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
You protected your family business against inflation with a very clever financial decision that you made. We'll come back to in a moment. It involves Bitcoin.
He also encouraged people to cash in their fiat currency, their paper money, and buy Bitcoin. If they had done that, they would have lost $37,000.
I disagree with Mr. Poilievre's approach that you can opt out of inflation with cryptocurrency. Magic internet money fluctuates vastly, 30% or more in one day.
Anyone following his advice that we saw on YouTube would have lost 20% of their earnings. I mean, this is lunacy.
Come on, guys, we get it. We bought the shawarma with Bitcoin.
You protected your family business against inflation with a
Lol. Okay. So you can tell they are not fans of Pierre coming out and being pro Bitcoin. Of course, famously, Justin Trudeau went on stage, was mocking Pierre, telling his, fellow Canadians to buy Bitcoin. And, Bitcoin, and this was in March, Bitcoin was up 250%.
And that previous video, by the way, was in 2022.
Exactly. So they've been on the beat for a minute. And obviously, if you are a Bitcoiner, looking at the price, yes, you know, it's funny that they were using the meme of magic internet money. It's super volatile. Well, I think now in 2024, where we're kissing 100K, I think Pierre has been fully vindicated on this point. And going further, Pierre has been very vocal about banning CBDCs in Canada. So he's very much a Bitcoiner. There was a clip of him, you know, buying Bitcoin with shawarma. Love to see, what do we call them in Canada? Prime ministers. Love to see what we would consider in America the akin to a presidential candidate using Bitcoin. We all saw Trump buying burgers. Well, you know, Pierre is buying shawarma with it. Just love to see it. And then kind of just adding a little more fuel to the fire here. We just saw that this, you know, a couple days ago, if you look at assets ranked by market cap, that Bitcoin is above the Canadian dollar. And this was at 97K. So it looks like we're kissing 98, 99K right now. So, hey, I don't know about you, but if I'm a Canadian and I'm looking at Bitcoin climb the charts, what is the real fake money here? In my opinion, it's the Canadian moose knuckles, you know, like the moose shekels here. Bitcoin is the real money. It's climbing in the asset charts. It's climbing in the currency charts. It's going to put Canada's dollar in the dust. And so putting all this together, it is very interesting that if Pierre wins, we are going to see two favorable Bitcoin administrations in North America. Obviously, we know what Trump's been saying. We know what's going on in the US. There's a lot of grumblings and rumblings about a strategic Bitcoin stockpile in the US. Well, if Pierre gets in, it's probably pretty easy to speculate that he's going to follow suit and also propose a Bitcoin strategic reserve in Canada. So it's starting in Vancouver, one city. You know, they have a long-standing Bitcoin meetup. There's a lot of awesome Bitcoiners there. And, you know, it's neighboring Alberta. So everyone knows what's going on in Alberta. It's basically the Texas of Canada here, and they love Bitcoin here. So it may start small. It's really a testament to the idea of starting on the grassroots level. It's much easier to change things on a local government level and then kind of move your way towards the federal level. But the point remains the same, guys. This whole week, we've had a theme here on Simply Bitcoin, and it's the dominoes falling on nation-state Bitcoin adoption. Yes, Bitcoin is the separation of money and state, but if these countries want to stay competitive, they're going to have to issue favorable Bitcoin legislation. They can't continue to fight Bitcoin. So it's very interesting. We are moving into a new era. Nico, I know I've been saying this for a while. This time feels different. But this time is actually different. You know, we have corporate adoption of Bitcoin. We're seeing the nation state FOMO of Bitcoin, and retail hasn't even shown up to the party. It's Thanksgiving, you know, holiday weekend for us in America, and Bitcoin is quietly climbing towards 100K. Maybe we're going to get some, you know, Bitcoin weekend pumps back on the menu here. It's going to be interesting if Bitcoin hits 100K by the time the banks come back on Monday. So, hey, man, things are moving quickly. I don't think any of us are ready for what's going to happen in 2025. You know, I think a simple 1-2x, I think that might be off the table here, but it's Friday, so I got to give you guys a little bit of hopium. Anyways, I'm going to pass it over to Paul. We have Paul Tarantino here from Byte Federal, you know, Bitcoin entrepreneur. So what's your thoughts on seeing Canada, or rather the city of Vancouver and the mayor propose a way for them to, quote, protect their purchasing power and add Bitcoin to their city company, or rather city treasury here?
Yeah, I love it. I love Vancouver. Vancouver is an awesome city. I thought about moving there at one time. Ended up moving to Montana instead, but love Vancouver. It's an international, global city, so it makes sense that they're fully aware of what's happening globally and that they need to be a part of it. I love the fact that they sit right on top of Microsoft too. So maybe they're adding a little pressure to Microsoft to get their act together. I think, you know, when I start to see this, everything that's happening from Canada all the way down to Argentina, I begin to see this American corridor that's fully moving towards a Bitcoin standard bit by bit. And I just think it's amazing that we're only, let's say, halfway through this bull cycle. And like, think back to like 2017, right? We were, during that entire run up, it was the hope that there was going to be a Bitcoin ETF, and then it never materialized. And that was at a massive retail run up. Here we are with a massive sovereign adoption, massive corporate adoption run up. that is actually being implemented during the bull market. It's not like we're pumping, the coin is pumping on hopes that this is going to happen. This is happening in real time. So like I said, like you said, 2025, I'm trying to stay humble. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, keyword trying.
Trying. Yeah.
All right, Nico, what's your thoughts on this? You're the reigning political head guy here. So, what are the implications here? What do you see? What's your thoughts when you hear this? I know when we were covering this, you're like, "Yo, this is huge." So, Nico, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. First of all, like, this is a worldwide phenomenon. We've been talking about this for, the last 1 or 2 weeks or so, really since the Trump administration pulled off a historic political comeback and they won the United States presidential election. You're kind of seeing a change in tune from countries worldwide. It was just announced that Russia was going to legalize digital assets. That just happened in the last 24 hours or so. We have Morocco saying something similar. You have politicians in Brazil introducing legislation that would make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. You have the state of Pennsylvania announcing that they're looking to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. Of course, on the federal level, you have Donald Trump working with the Bitcoin Senator Cynthia Lummis, talking about making Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset on the federal level. And you see all these countries worldwide looking over the United States and saying, hey, you know what? If we don't get on this Bitcoin train, we might find ourselves catching up, so to speak. You also have a judge in China ruling that Bitcoin is actually legal as individual property, right? So you're kind of seeing this 180 on a regulatory level internationally because of Trump winning this recent election. And there needs to be an election, and legally there needs to be an election by October of 2025 in Canada. And if you look at the polls, it looks like Trudeau is going to be unseated as prime minister. And that means that the Conservative Party of Canada, which is led by Pierre Poilievre, sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, have a really good shot at winning. And we know his stance on Bitcoin, right? He's been a public advocate of it. Many times going to Tahinis. Of course, we know the Tahini bros are, first of all, they're awesome Bitcoiners and they're huge fans of Bitcoin, and they use a Bitcoin treasury strategy, and they're absolutely crushing the game. And he's been a very vocal supporter of Bitcoin. So, this would be absolutely nuts if essentially almost every country in North America, their governments are pro Bitcoin. Like, who would have thought? You could have never have pictured that, 2 years ago, where, we're finding out, and we have a clip for you guys during the numbers, that the Biden administration has been extremely hostile towards the industry from a regulatory perspective, like debanking us, proposing a 30% Bitcoin mining tax. So this is incredibly bullish. And, and on a provincial level, you have the province of Alberta that is extremely pro Bitcoin. You have a bunch of amazing Bitcoin companies from there, like, of course, Bitcoin Well. You have Bull Bitcoin. You have a bunch of other kind of like mining-esque type of companies as well coming out of that province. And of course, they've been in talks with the equivalent of what we call in the United States the governor of that province. And I believe they are extremely pro Bitcoin as well. So, this is, and now Vancouver. So that's another province in Canada from British Columbia, called British Columbia. And, they are extremely pro Bitcoin as well. So yeah, I mean, this is amazing. It doesn't surprise me. Bitcoin's incentives are the best, and that's why Bitcoin's going to win at the end of the day. So yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. And the fact that if this news was just happening on an individual level, I think it wouldn't mean a whole lot of anything. But the fact that it's happening on an international scale, if you connect the dots, you see what's happening, right? And I think what we witnessed really over the last 5 years or so was what I call the great disintermediation of information, with the rise of social media and how the social media, particularly X, has really taken the place of traditional media. I think what we're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years is the great disintermediation of money. And just like the great disintermediation of information, I believe this is a bottom-up movement. This is a grassroots movement. As more and more people decide to opt out of political money, which is fiat money, and decide to opt into better money, which is Bitcoin, which is the exact opposite of political, right? So yeah, very exciting overall. Canada is a huge country like Brazil. So the fact that this news isn't coming from like small countries, the fact that this is coming out of, big, large countries with enormous GDPs, it's like what Opti said, Canada, I believe, is either the 9th or 10th largest GDP in the world, largest economy in the world, is absolutely massive, right? And there's a high possibility that you have, just like what happened in the United States, you have a pro Bitcoin government going into power in Canada in 2025, the year that the Trump administration is going to have their first year. And we all know how the Trump administration feels about our industry. So just, it reminds me of Trump's speech from Nashville, right? You guys are going to get tired of winning, so much winning, amazing winning. This is amazing. This is amazing. Now, does any of this surprise me? No. This is Bitcoin's incentives. Bitcoin's incentives are superior to fiat's incentives. This is why all of this is happening. And I think that this trend will not only continue, but I think it's going to dramatically accelerate from here. So I think it's really, really exciting stuff. Also want to give a shout out to the 1,100 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X, and shout out to the guys watching live on Rumble. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, help us break 200 likes within the first hour of the live show. So we're about to hit 100 likes on the live show right now. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Really, really helps with the algos to push this message forward. Anyways, before we jump into the numbers, I want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin on-chain or via the Lightning Network in Canada and the USA. What makes Bitcoin Well different is that it is automatic self-custody. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. Also, for higher net worth individuals, they just announced their Bitcoin Well Infinite product. So essentially what that is, it's a white glove tailored experience for people that are looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. So what does a white glove Bitcoin experience mean? It means that if you're tired of dealing with Coinbase, if you're tired of dealing with terrible support, Bitcoin Well Infinite is for you. You will have your own personal representative of which you can call or text whenever you want. If you have any questions about Bitcoin, about self-custody, about buying or selling Bitcoin. So to get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC, or you could personally send me an email at nico@bitcoinwell.com. Also, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has won 500 sats. If you use promo code SimplyBTC, again, SimplyBTC, to sign up to bitcoinwell.com today, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well for an opportunity to win up to 1 million sats every time you toss a coin into the well. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have lots to talk about. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today. All right, everybody, imagine this conversation. You're like 80 years old and you want to pass on your Bitcoin to the future generations, and your grandchildren come to visit you and they're like, Grandpapa, I heard you stacked Bitcoin under 100K, and you look at them and you're like, yes, kids, I did. And they're like, okay, Grandpapa, are you going to pass? Are you going to bestow to us the generational wealth? And then you look at them in the eyes and you say, no, because I didn't listen to Nico and I wrote down my seed words on paper and the dog ate that. And they're going to look at you and they say, Grandpapa, why didn't I listen to Nico? And then you're going to say, I forgot. Anyways, use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off so that you can pass on your generational wealth. Anyways, at the time of recording, Opti's going to read the numbers.
Oh, wait. Can we acknowledge how you went old English there? And I think bestow might be the biggest word you've ever used on the show. anyways, we're over here on Clark Moody's dashboard.
Dude, I got a comment yesterday. I forget where it was from, but it was like basically like, yo, we were listening to Simply Bitcoin in the class, and all the kids were just cracking up to you talking about that. So
dude, we got kids listening to us, Nico. We might have to clean up the show. This is a family-friendly show. We will clean it up.
But they all got the stamp seed. They're all like, okay, I get it. Message received. Bam, bing, bam, boom.
If they're Bitcoiner kids, they can handle the truth.
I know. We try to clean it up, but sometimes we lose it here on the show. Anyways, we're over here on Clark Moody's dashboard going over some Bitcoin numbers. So of course, the Bitcoin price is currently at $97,350 per Bitcoin, which means the sats per dollar, aka how much your Bitcoin is, how much the dollar is worth in Bitcoin, and how much Bitcoin you can buy for a single dollar, is inching towards that 1,000 sats per dollar. We are currently at 1,027. The current block height is 872,495, and the market cap in fiat terms, in dollar terms, is currently at $1.93 trillion. And the Bitcoin versus gold market cap, we've secured the 10% of the gold market cap. We still have a lot to run in the hard money game, but we are currently at 10.49%, and the total percentage of Bitcoin that will ever be issued, I repeat, the total percentage of Bitcoin that will ever be issued is currently at 94.23%, which means about roughly, 19.7 million Bitcoin are currently circulating. All right, guys. So for the clip today, this one is a little long. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We did give you a clip yesterday from this conversation on Joe Rogan. Of course, we're talking about the Marc Andreesen episode that just went live on Joe Rogan. And Mark is he's exposing, at least to a bigger audience, what Nico and I have been exposing to you guys constantly. And it's this choke point 2.0 saga that we've been a part of in the last year. Well, rather the last 4 years, but really got kicked into overdrive in the last year. And this is really why, Nico kind of lost it and went full Trump mode on us when we tried to be neutral here. But it's becoming very obvious. The Biden administration was fighting the Bitcoin industry, and now it's becoming very public. It's not just becoming a niche topic in Bitcoin, it's becoming a broader conversation in public consciousness. It really is amazing that people don't know that the banks have been weaponized against them. Maybe this is only something only Bitcoiners know, but this is the game we are on. So I'm going to play a part of this. I won't get through the whole 8 minutes, but you should definitely listen to the whole clip. As Bitcoin Therapist says on Twitter, this might be the most important 8 minutes of your life. So let's get into this, and we'll cut it off some point. That's where we got it off from yesterday. So are we surprised here, Nico? We've been covering this for a while. And actually, I'm going to do the meme that I do in the chat all the time. Sorry, guys, if you're watching this video, you are on that list and you are a pet person. So I apologize for your interest in things that are outside of the Overton window, but it's becoming very obvious that, especially in the last year, but the last 4 years under the Biden administration, that Bitcoin or, crypto companies are politically exposed peoples. Now we have a little new vernacular here, but if you've been following along closely, you've been seeing this play out. And it really is amazing to me how many people don't understand how the deplatforming works. And, Mark kind of just skirted it in there a little bit. And I don't even know if I can say the F word here. And I'm not talking about curse words here. So I'm off to go to Nico. Can I say the F word on YouTube? I know we just played it.
So let's just say collectivists. I think that's let's
just say government and corporate symbiosis that will control every aspect of your life, which is very simply, I think, completely 180% or 180 degrees away from what the land of the free is supposed to be. But now we're getting more data, more people are learning about this, and this is very clearly why we're Bitcoiners. This is very clearly why we always tell people that, hey, if you are a part of being deplatformed, if you have ideas and you say things that the current administration or any government doesn't like, then you're very clearly going to become a Bitcoiner. Now, if you watch that clip, you do notice that Marc Andreesen basically was shilling cash. He's like, yeah, this is why we all use cash. I mean, he runs A16Z. It's a shitcoin, VC venture fund. So it's very interesting that he doesn't quickly say Bitcoin or even crypto. He's just like, yeah, everyone just goes cash. Well,
I mean,
we have better.
If he said that, it would let me just talk about this on Joe Rogan and paint an even bigger target on my back. I know the Biden administration is lame duck right now, but Trump isn't sworn into office till January 20th. So anyways, look, I saw that entire clip yesterday and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And for a couple of reasons, like there's no due process. So it's not like this gets taken to a judge and then the judge like, okay, you know what, let's debank these people. These are unelected bureaucrats that are getting to decide who is allowed to interact with the U.S. banking system and who is not allowed to interact with the U.S. banking system. Because they're unelected, there's no accountability there, right? That is a very dystopian world. Like that is a world that you don't want to live in. And mind you, these are the same people that are advocating for central bank digital currencies. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you guys. And just to provide a little bit of context, right? We at Simply Bitcoin have always taken a neutral stance because we believe Bitcoin is inclusive, Bitcoin is for everybody, but they kind of forced our hand a little bit to start talking about politics a little bit because they arrested the Samurai Wallet developers. And that was like the last straw for me. And I said, you know what? We're going to have to talk about this. Mind you, I'm not the only one that felt this way. I don't think the Bitcoin and crypto community would have ever gotten into politics if it wasn't for the hostile regulatory environment that the Biden administration and some senators like Elizabeth Warren created for our industry. It forced our hand, and it also created an opportunity for the opposing political party to capitalize on that in the hopes of getting votes. Now, now that the election is over, I believe that the Democratic Party made a major mistake because there's a huge part of their constituents that own Bitcoin, they own crypto, and they benefit from it. So I think it was, I think it was a drop ball. And I do not believe that money should be politicized. However, I'll caveat this with, I'll leave it with this. As much as I'm a fan of Elon and Vivek, and you should never bet against Elon. I mean, the guy literally invented a self-driving car and self-landing rockets. So I have no doubt in Elon's ability. But what I will say is that if Doge is successful, the department of, where he wants to essentially cut spending and cut certain government jobs, it's a temporary solution because you're just one election away from another administration coming in and rehiring all those people, again, right? So I think really the long-term solution of this is Bitcoin. It is a non-sovereign alternative to money, because if enough of the population adopts it, essentially it provides a little bit of a check on their ability to print. It provides a little bit of a check on their ability to control people through money, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that the Overton window is shifting, and the likes of Marc Andreesen, Trump going on Rogan dropping Bitcoin by name, the likes of Tim Pool, Russell Brand, Rumble basically announcing yesterday that it's gonna make Bitcoin part of its treasury strategy. The Overton window is shifting. But it's not quite there yet. And one last thing that I'll say about Rogan, because I was a little bit upset that Rogan didn't invite Trump on his podcast. He waited till last second, and it was because of so much pressure mounting from Dana White and Elon Musk. But I will say this: why hasn't Rogan had Michael Saylor on? Or Jack Mallers, or Max Kaiser? Like, why?
Or American HODL.
Or American HODL. Like, why has that not happened yet? That should have happened already by now, right? So this is it's not surprising, but at the same time, that is not. We didn't sign up for that as Americans. We did not sign up to a society where a bureaucratic elite with no accountability, because they're not elected, they're appointed, or they just get hired, get to decide who should have a bank account and who shouldn't have a bank account. And it's become abundantly clear also that they've weaponized that system to go after certain political opponents. That is nuts. That is crazy. So anyways, that's what Bitcoin fixes in the long term. But anyways, Paul, I want to get your take on this. We were actually talking about this specific subject when you joined us on the news desk at Adopting Bitcoin with Tone Vase and Giacomo. So I guess it's just a continuation of that. What are your thoughts on all this?
We have a lot of experience in this at Byte Federal, and I've got a lot of personal thoughts on it as well. Number one, long before I ever became a part of Byte Federal, the boys there have lost hundreds of bank accounts. It's the ATM business obviously is a heavy cash business, and you cannot just walk into any bank and deposit hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, in cash, and especially when those dollars are earned through a crypto-based business. So it took the opening and loss of hundreds of bank accounts to finally find banks that would work with us. There's a lot more excessive fees in the processing of that cash that go beyond just say even like a restaurant that's heavy in cash, just because it's coming from the crypto space. And then a more recent example, in 2021, we were actually we had our wallet was on par with Cash App. We were actually accepting. We had a live checking account that was supported through Evolve Bank inside our non-custodial Bitcoin wallet. And when FTX went under, and they went through the industry and wiped out all the crypto banks. We lost all of that infrastructure. So we've been in the process now for the last year and a half trying to rebuild that. And it's just recently that we've been able to find banks that will even take our call. So we're excited about that coming into the wallet again here in the near future. But I mean, we've probably dialed over 600 banks, went through proper channels to just try and have discussions. And when they found out we were in the Bitcoin and crypto business, it was over. The call was done. So it's real. Choke point 2.0 is real. It impacts the operations on a daily basis. And I think we're going to see big changes for that. And that means there's a flood of crypto and Bitcoin related on-ramping technology that's going to be made available to the public. That's going to be a huge shock to the traditional financial system. They're going to be scrambling to catch up because many of us already have this stuff built. We're just waiting for the go-ahead to turn it back on. And that's about to happen in a big way here in the United States. In regards to Doge and what you're saying there, I just wanted to add a little bit of my own opinion there. I think, Doge is, from what I understand, Elon and Vivek are going to start a podcast. And basically, they're going to shine a giant bright light on the corruption, inefficiency, and lack of oversight on the spending within the government. And when the American people can tune in to an accessible broadcast across numerous channels that's uncensored and unstoppable and learn how their tax dollars are really being spent or how they're not being tracked, the silly things they're being spent on, the corruption, and even the crimes, right? It's highly likely that we're going to find that there are agencies engaged in criminal activities with our tax dollars. That is going to forever change people's view of fiat. So once people understand that, they're going to be demanding a fair and truthful currency that has accounting built in, and that's Bitcoin. So I think this will light a fire under the Bitcoin protocol, and especially within government. You're, as a congressman, a senator, a mayor, you're no longer going to be able to just hide behind I didn't know they were doing this. That's not going to be an excuse anymore because it's going to be all above board and totally transparent. And if you are standing there at the gates to try and prevent the people from mandating that the government use a truthful, accountable, honest ledger, you're going to be looked at as if you're a part of the problem. So I think the way they're going to handle Doge is going to change government in a massive way.
Beautiful. Yeah. And
we can only hope.
I agree with the transparency is the best, the best part. Right. And, I think Trump proved that with this election, how he was able to circumvent legacy media by going on podcasts, which I would say podcast is the mainstream media these days. Right. So for them being able to, Vivek and Elon, just stream this directly to X, and a whole lot of people are going to tune in. Elon's one of the most followed people on the face of the planet, and what they're going to discover is going to be insane, right? And just I don't know if you heard about this, Paul, but like there was a news breaking, I think it was like a week or two, where the Pentagon failed its 7th audit in a row. Hundreds of billions of dollars completely accounted for. Mind you, they want to literally audit every $600 transaction that a citizen has. Like, it is, the double standards is insane, right? Yes, so yes. But that take where you said that those podcasts and that transparency is going to lead to Bitcoin, that's the first time I've ever heard that. That's a very interesting take. And we'll see what happens. I hope you're right. I hope that does happen. Anyways, guys,
there's no way. There's no other triple entry accounting currency on the planet.
Exactly. This is very true.
So this is the only way you can implement a solution by just through adoption.
Exactly. Well,
Nico, before you transition, guys, there is over 2,000 of you guys watching. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. Let's get us over to 200 like mark in the next couple of minutes. Smash the like button. We're only halfway through the show. Anyways, Nico, send it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at 177 likes. Help us break 200 likes, and I think we might hit 500 live viewer just on YouTube alone. So smash the like button, guys. It really, really helps pushing us in the algos. We'll be right back. We're going to hit the news. Let's do this.
Very special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin.
All right, guys, scan the QR code. I'm currently at Bitcoiner Thanksgiving, so I didn't travel with my passport, but you already know model. Scan the QR code. Make sure you get yourself a Passport by Foundation, fully open source. It's probably the easiest cold storage wallet you can use. It is almost Christmas, so you might want to buy your friends and family a couple of them. Maybe buy some bulk orders and use the promo code SIMPLY and get a discount on that. All right, guys. So for the news today, we have more and more news stories coming out for Bitcoin in regards to, as Nico likes to say, it is Friday, so it's probably 5 o'clock somewhere. The Overton window is shifting. So as you guys know, the chat game, you guys need to drink now. I know it's early for us, but maybe it's 5 o'clock for you guys somewhere. Anyways, I'm trolling. So we got this coming out from Dennis Porter, and shouts out to Dennis Porter. He has been putting in the work with Satoshi Action Fund, and he's racking up the wins. Dennis Porter's racking up the wins out there, guys. Every other Bitcoin policy, group, they might need to take a page out of Dennis Porter because he's putting in the overtime. Anyways, what am I talking about? So we got a Dennis Porter tweet. Massive breaking. After speaking with a lawmaker in Switzerland, I can confirm he has officially passed legislation to study Bitcoin mining with a sweeping majority of votes. The study will focus on how Bitcoin mining can balance the grid and utilize wasted energy. And he goes on to say, I was able to speak with the lawmaker Samuel Kuhlman yesterday before the study passed, and today it was approved. It is a very exciting moment for Bitcoin adoption in Switzerland, and he was happy to witness it. And so he said, if you want to learn a little more, check out this link here. And so headline, this says, initiative of the parliamentary group Bitcoin, Swiss canton of Bern examines the integration of Bitcoin mining into energy policy. Guys, we have come so far in the last year from, Bitcoin's going to boil the oceans. Bitcoin's going to use more energy than what was it, Nico, Denmark or Norway, to now we've proven, at least in Texas, and now we're going to prove, well, not us particular, but Bitcoiners at large in Switzerland, that Bitcoin mining may actually be a benefit to the stabilization of the grid. It may actually even bring down the price of your energy and electricity bill. But everyone just cares about the FUD. Anyways, let's get into a little bit of this article. So the Grand Council of the Swiss canton of Bern today approved by a large majority the proposal to review the potential of Bitcoin mining for the canton's energy policy. The initiative for a canton cantonal. I don't know. I can't speak today. The cantonal Bitcoin strategy. On March 14, 2024, the cross-party parliamentary group Bitcoin submitted a parliamentary motion to have the potential of Bitcoin mining analyzed for the canton of Bern. Quote, the government council is commissioned to prepare a report that analyzes the potential of Bitcoin mining for the canton of Bern. The report should primarily show, one, where energy remains unused in electricity production in the canton of Bern, two, how this unused energy can possibly be used through Bitcoin mining, e.g. in cooperation with Swiss Bitcoin mining companies, and three, whether or how Bitcoin mining can contribute to stabilizing the electricity grid. The parliamentary group Bitcoin, which includes 23 of 160 MPs in the canton of Bern, justifies its proposal with the commitment in other countries that have already integrated Bitcoin mining companies into their own energy policies as flexible and reliable electricity consumers for otherwise unused energy, such as the model example of the state of Texas. In addition, the Bitcoin mining industry is one of the most sustainable and flexible industries in the world, the motion states. According to this, Bern could also have the potential to become an attractive location for mining companies, which could create jobs, promote the expansion of renewable energies, and stabilize the power grid in the event of both power shortages and overproduction. The canton should position itself with a view to the future and examine whether local mining companies in Bern would be suitable in order to exploit the corresponding synergies. And then, the government council at first requested a rejection, of course, basically stating a lot of the floodlines we've been hearing throughout the history of Bitcoin. And then it actually got a majority of votes for the motion. So moving forward, we go. Quote from Samuel Coleman, who, as Dennis Porter just announced, pushed it through. It goes, even though the debate was heavily influenced by classic FUD arguments and missed the point, the proposal ultimately found a clear majority. A majority of the SVP, FDP, Center, Green Liberals, and EDU factions decided against the will of the government to demand this report. Even in the left-green camp, there were dissenting voices and abstentions, and this resulted in expression of the fact that the narrative on Bitcoin is changing, which is what we've been talking about constantly on this show as we've been covering throughout the whole week. We're getting it from nation state adoption of Bitcoin. We're getting it on the local level in states in the US. We're getting this international push to adopt Bitcoin. We're seeing corporations add Bitcoin to their company treasury. We're obviously starting to see that maybe your normie friends and family are starting to text you and be like, wait, Bitcoin's at 100K. Maybe I should buy some. But as Nico loves to say on the show, the Overton window is shifting. And I forget when it was, Nico. Remember, I was trolling. Maybe I still have it in here. Hashtag unplug. I think it was Denmark or Norway. I forget exactly which country it was. But they were saying for the longest time in Bitcoin, the classic memes of they're going to boil the oceans. Bitcoin's going to use all the energy in the world by 2035, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then in Texas, shouts out the Riot platforms out there. They're just showing that, hey, maybe this is going to stabilize the energy grid. Maybe this is going to make your electricity bills cheaper. And we even have the opposite case happen, and I believe it was Norway this year, where they kicked out all the Bitcoin miners, and then all the citizens realized, wait, why is my electricity going up? Well, if you don't embrace Bitcoin mining, you are doing a disservice to your country and your local, citizens and your state, your city. And now we're getting more and more examples proving the opposite, that it's not just about adopting Bitcoin on a, corporate treasury, nation state treasury, your personal treasury and balance sheet. You also want to embrace Bitcoin mining because it is actually good for energy production. It's actually good for planet Earth. And as I like to say, the people that fight energy use really want to send you back to the Stone Ages, and Bitcoin is really going to move us up the Kardashev scale. And you're going to need to embrace Bitcoin mining. We're going to proliferate unused energy. Bitcoin's going to stabilize the energy grid. And I think this report coming out, or rather the study coming out of Switzerland, is going to continue to bring more receipts and prove to everyone that, hey, you need to embrace Bitcoin. It's not as bad as everyone's been telling you. Once you break down the layers of FUD, you start to realize, hey, all around, when you embrace Bitcoin, it is a good thing for everyone on planet Earth, and it is a necessity at this point. You need to embrace Bitcoin on a personal level, and now we're seeing more examples of it on an energy level, on an energy policy level. So this is huge for Bitcoin mining at large, and obviously to continue to break down all of the classic FUD lines we've all heard throughout the years. And man, Nico, I hate to say it twice on the show, but it does feel like this time is different.
I mean, bro, the orange man said it, bro. We're winning, won't stop winning. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, this is what we've seen from, for example, for the largest energy company in Japan, TEPCO, made an announcement recently that they are mining Bitcoin with excess gas. The Kingdom of Bhutan, which has 1/3 of their GDP in Bitcoin. How gnarly is that, right? They teamed up with a publicly traded company, Bitdeer, to expand their mining operations by a factor of 5. So it's so nuts. You have rumblings coming out of the UAE. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy announcements at Bitcoin Mina coming up in December. Shout out to our friends over at Bitcoin Magazine. Coming out of the UAE that, countries are looking into mining Bitcoin. Russia just legalized Bitcoin mining again, right? Even though it's, of course, there people were doing it, under the table, whatnot. It's still estimated that like roughly 10% of the hash rate is in China. You have the governor of Texas coming out and saying, I want Texas to be a Bitcoin oasis. I want Texas to be the Bitcoin mining capital of the world. You have literally the future president of the United States saying, I want all Bitcoins to be mined in the US, right? This is what Kaiser was talking about when he said the global hash war. You're going to have all these nation states, all these countries competing to either buy as much Bitcoin as they can or mine as much Bitcoin as they can. So again, when this little news started happening like a year ago, when things started to trickle in, I was like, we would make a whole show about it. Problem is that so much news every single day is confirming that this other country halfway across the world is now getting involved into Bitcoin somewhat. It kind of reminds me of that line. I don't know how, maybe I'm going to butcher it, which it's like slowly at first and then all at once. I think we're entering into the all at once phase just because of how much is happening in such a short amount of time. And I really think the catalyst here was Trump getting elected. I really think that really showed to the world that, okay, if we don't start mining Bitcoin, we are putting ourselves in a potentially a dangerous strategic point on a geopolitical scale if we don't jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Shout out Switzerland. I was just there for Lugano. Awesome conference. Shout out to the Plan B guys. But I mean, does any of this surprise me? No. And I think we're going to see a whole lot more of this news. And of course, you guys are going to have to tune in to Simply Bitcoin because we're covering every single one of these breaking news stories that is happening around the world. You're witnessing, ladies and gentlemen, the peaceful Bitcoin revolution take hold. And this is the first innings of it. And I'm so here for it. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Paul. Paul, as the CEO of Byte Federal, what does this mean for you? Is this just a continuation of the news that we've been seeing? What's your take?
So I think big picture, 2000 or the last 4 years has been peak clown world.
Mm-hmm.
And in TradFi, we call this reversion to the mean, right? So I think we're just reverting to rationality again. And so all of the rational arguments around Bitcoin mining, around Bitcoin as pristine collateral, around Bitcoin as the truth chain, all of those rational arguments are starting to capture the high ground because they're true and because it works. And so as people have become so fed up with the clown world spin that has sent us off the rails, not only in the US, but globally, People are looking for, where's the truth, where's the reality, where can we have an impact, and where can things change? And many of those things drive you towards Bitcoin. So I think we're just going to see more and more of this kind of adoption around the globe. Additionally, I think what we're I think Bitcoin has always been a way for the United States to recapture its morality, to recapture the American dream, to recapture our ability to lead as a country, as opposed to create pain and suffering around the globe. And I see Bitcoin as a way to return us to that glory. So I think Bitcoin starts America 2.0. We could call it the MAGA movement, but I think without Bitcoin, it's hard to get it off the ground. So moving Bitcoin into the treasury, using Bitcoin morality and principles to shed light on corruption, these kind of using Bitcoin to secure our energy grid, to secure ourselves militarily. And what I mean by that is, right, is that if you're not financially sound, you cannot protect yourself as a nation. And unfortunately, over the last 40 years, we've built a lot of enemies around the planet. So there's lots of reasons to implement Bitcoin other than financial. It's a defense mechanism. It's a growth mechanism. It's a transparency mechanism. It's a truth mechanism. And if we can deliver with it also at the same time, deliver prosperity to our enemies, we are going to all live in a much safer, healthier planet. So for me, Bitcoin is America 2.0. And it's really wonderful to see the Trump administration take an aggressive posture in adopting it at these levels, because I think that's how we get there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that this movement without Bitcoin is going to be 1/10 of its full potential. So I completely
100%.
agree with that. Guys, stay tuned, because we're going to talk to Paul about Byte Federal. Byte Federal's mission is to utilize the unique financial technological revolution of cryptocurrency to restore economic power and prosperity to the people. It sounds very similar to what we're all about here at Simply Bitcoin. So we're really, really excited to talk to Paul, to talk to him about what is Byte Federal, what is the future of Byte Federal. So everybody, stay tuned for the culture. We will be right back.
To our sponsor, HIVE Digital Technologies. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's been battle tested through every possible market. And as the first with an AI strategy, HIVE continues to redefine the future of sustainable energy. Also, gotta casually drop this in here, HIVE consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're changing the game. Learn more by following them at HIVE Digital Tech, or check out their website, hivedigitaltech.com.
All right, everybody, before we get to the culture, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. Join the 13,912 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. The Orange Pill app is for people that perhaps you don't know any Bitcoiners in your city. Perhaps you're traveling to go to a conference and you don't know any Bitcoiners around you. You pull up the Orange Pill app. It has a really clever geographical feature, and it will literally show you the Bitcoiners near you, and it will give you the ability to send them a DM so you can connect with them. The Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. Download it today by scanning the QR code or checking the link in the video description. I also want to give a shout out to one of the best Bitcoin conferences of the year, BitBlockBoom. Boom. It's going to be April 3rd, April 4th, April 5th, and April 6th in Dallas, Texas of 2025. Guys, you definitely don't want to miss one of the best Bitcoin conferences of the year that isn't quite big enough so you get lost in the sauce. It's just the right size. So you have the opportunity to potentially network with the Bitcoin companies you want to work at or network with some of your favorite Bitcoiners. In fact, the BitBlockBoom conference is the first conference where me and Opti met in person. And this year is going to be very, very special because the entire Simply Bitcoin crew will be there. Nico, Opti, Dante, Rustin, Sophie, Jacob, all of us. Perhaps we bring the Zoomers as well. You definitely don't want to miss BitBlockBoom 2025. And if you use promo code BBB21, you'll get $100 tickets, $100 off of your tickets. All right, everybody, I do want to open the conversation. I want to take advantage of the fact that we have the CEO of Byte Federal in the house today. We have Paul. We got to meet in person in El Salvador at the Adopting Bitcoin conference. Paul, it's an honor to have on the show. I do want to highlight your company, Byte Federal. What is Byte Federal? Who's it for? I read the mission statement and man, I said, we invited the right person onto today's show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Love you guys and love the energy in the show. It's awesome. So Byte Federal's been around since late 2016, and it got started by three guys here in the Venice area, Venice, Florida. They started as a Bitcoin ATM company, and right now currently have about 1,400 Bitcoin ATMs in the United States, about 60 in Australia, and 4 brand new as of last week in Suriname with Maya Parabo. So we're hoping to see that become the next great Bitcoin economy. So the ATM is where we start, and the ATM is really, for me, looks like our brick and mortar pipeline for access to Bitcoin for cash. But the bigger mission is to build basically a suite of financial services around the Bitcoin blockchain. We all believe that Bitcoin is the premier financial collateral on the planet, and therefore it is going to become the bedrock of all your financial activity moving forward. So you should have access to a whole suite of financial services that interact with the Bitcoin blockchain. So we're building a mobile wallet. Number one feature in the mobile wallet does exist today as a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet and Lightning wallet, but we're adding Bitcoin buys into the wallet. So we hope that by maybe the end of December, if not early January, you're going to be able to have a full-fledged checking account with a routing number in our wallet. You'll be able to on-ramp fiat into the wallet, use it just like you would use Cash App. So you have full checking functionality in your wallet right alongside your non-custodial Bitcoin wallet, where you get to control your private keys. We don't custody anybody's coins. So you'll be able to move Bitcoin back and forth, or you'll be able to do exchanges in wallet. You'll be able to send, receive, and custody your Bitcoin and fiat in the wallet. Right after that, the next mission is to bring a debit card back in the wallet, which we had these features in the past, like I described. So the debit card will be connected to your checking account, and you'll be able to spend right out of your wallet. So the mission, or our tagline, is "Go bank yourself," and that's really what we're trying to build. Everything you would need to be your own bank, and Bitcoin being the center of that. After that, we've developed a POS system. We have about 45 merchants right now in the United States using our POS system. It's Lightning and Bitcoin enabled. And we have a web wallet where you can order an actual smart terminal if you wanted to sit alongside your credit card processing machine. The web wallet also tracks all your transactions, your cost base. You can process returns, anything you need to do there on a POS functionality. It's also a payment gateway, so you can embed it in a shopping cart. We're working on a streaming platform for people that want to be able to accept Lightning through streaming sats during a podcasting. We're working with some people in Argentina that are using that right now. Another great thing we're working on is a real estate platform. So we have partnered with a company here in the United States called NEO. It stands for New Estate Only. They're live in Florida and Texas right now. You can go on their website and you can see that they work with big developers and publicly traded companies that are building big communities in Florida and Texas. And soon, in the not too distant future, again, maybe this month, you're going to start, or in December, you're going to start to see Buy with Bitcoin featured in their site. And when you click on Buy with Bitcoin, you'll be able to process your escrow deposit and your closing payment on that real estate through our platform. So these are all things that are currently in the works, along with, of course, we want to get into lending against your Bitcoin. We have some of the stuff I probably shouldn't even talk about, but we have some really cool things coming down the road where you'll be able to notarize documents, images, video, right directly into the Bitcoin blockchain so that you can store those crucial documents forever, and a whole suite of other financial services. Again, with the mission of that you'll be able to bank yourself and run your financial life on the Bitcoin blockchain through our financial services.
Incredible. So it sounds like you're building a whole suite of products so that people can actually start living off their Bitcoin rather than this on and off ramp, kind of BS. And then you're dealing with hostile banks that, for example, I believe it was Chase that just like started debanking people just because they decided to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, or they would flat out tell you, like, you can't send money to Coinbase at all.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
It's really crazy.
Whose money is it, bro?
It's crazy, right? Because like we would love to work with banks. Honestly, we would love to be able to partner with them or work with them, but they don't treat us like a legitimate organization. I think, like, again, like all the stuff we talked about in 2025, we think that's all going to change in 2025. And we look forward to that, because a good banking partner that understands the industry and understands the value of the Bitcoin blockchain is not, if they just align with the industry, they're going to do really, really well. So a good banking partner, love that. A banking partner that is constantly going up against you, trying to shut you down, get in your way, of course, that's a major problem. We've been lucky enough to find a few banks that have been just a joy to work with, and they have helped us get to where we are. So it's not all banks. But there are a lot of banks that are just afraid of this industry, just like they're afraid of cannabis, or they're afraid of other sectors of the economy. And I've worked in those banks, so I know it's coming from their regulator. Many of them want to do this business, and their regulator won't let them, or put such massive hurdles in front of them pursuing it that it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk, right? So I think once those regulatory hurdles are removed, or regulation is clarified, or they just simply look at us as a legit business, and because we can match, if not better, the regulatory hurdles that they're putting in front of us. It's just a matter of them feeling comfortable that they can bank a Bitcoin business. And once that happens, it's game on.
I'm so excited, and this is why, and we got a lot of heat for this, Paul, but we were talking about the importance of this previous election, and from a regulatory perspective, and we were talking about, like, I'm like, guys, like, and then people get and I empathize with that. I understand, Orange Man is not perfect, right? He's got his flaws, but I kept saying it. I was like, guys, like, this is a two-party system, whether you like it or not. One party has been very hostile towards our industry, and the more is being discovered by the day, right? I would say that they didn't follow the rules at all, and one party has made it part of their official party platform that they're going to protect the industry. And I was like, look, it's not perfect, but you have a choice to make here. And, I'm very glad that the election went in a certain way, because as a, Bitcoin entrepreneur, we're a media play, but as a Bitcoin entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, I mean, this does affect you, especially if you are based in the United States. So, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty nuts. And I think it is very positive. And I do agree with you, Paul, wholeheartedly, that I think that things are going to change in 2025. Now, are we going to get everything we want? I don't know, but I suspect it's going to be better than the current regulatory environment under the current administration. So,
and we don't need protection, right? We just
need to be left alone. Exactly.
We just need equal. We just need the rules to be the same across the board, and
100%.
equal access. Because I truly believe some of the smartest people on the planet are in this industry, and they can build solutions to get us to where the future is going. They can make the United States a premier place for crypto and Bitcoin businesses going forward. But we just need to have the same playing field as our competitors, and that just hasn't been the case. It's literally been trying to fight some of the biggest financial institutions in the world with a regulator that's hostile to you, with one arm and one leg tied behind your back, and we're still winning. So I look at when the playing field is fair and equal, everybody's going to be coming charging down the field with amazing products and services. And Byte Federal is going to be one of those players, and it's going to benefit everybody on the planet. If you want to take control of your finance and control of your future, and you want to, right? The American dream was all about people building a great life for themselves, the way they wanted to build it, and for the benefit of their families, right? Well, how hard is that to do today in the traditional financial system? It's incredibly difficult, right?
I would say it's impossible. Paul, I would say you are. It's difficult, but I would say if you are a Zoomer or millennial, it's flat out. I would say almost impossible. If I did not have Bitcoin, like, I don't know what I would do. Even if you are extremely successful. Right. Even if you're extremely successful, I would say you still could not afford. And Paul, you know this. We live in Florida, right? You could still not afford a reasonable home, even if you're performing extremely well at my age in terms of income. It's like the system is set up where it's like you're not meant to own anything. You can rent a place, and you can have it a very nice place for if you have a decent income. But forget about trying to get a decent home, like especially if you live in one of like I live in Miami, right? Like if I didn't have Bitcoin, like, oh my God, I don't know what I would be doing, right? So yeah, I 100% agree with you. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay. No, I have millennial friends that are in the same boat. What do I do? How am I ever going to afford a house? How do I buy a house? And you need to just buy the Bitcoin. Just don't worry about buying the house. Buy the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's growing at 50% annually. Your home, the best home you could buy, is going to average 6% annually. So take that down payment on your home, buy Bitcoin, and at some point you'll be able to afford a home you never thought you could afford.
Amen.
And that doesn't even come into the bigger discussion of demonetizing real estate. That we could see real estate become cheaper down the road, right? Because that we're just trying to keep things simple in these early orange pill discussions. But man, when you start to realize the growth rate of Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin starts with keeping up with inflation, then you have monetary devaluation, then you have adoption globally by people, states, sovereigns, militaries, on and on and on. The growth rate in Bitcoin isn't going to slow down for many, many decades. So we're still so early in just store of value adoption, which is why at Byte Federal we're focused on the ATMs, in-wallet purchases, web purchases, and then after that, lending and POS and medium of exchange. But the priority is people still need to get Bitcoin on their personal balance sheet. That should be everybody's main priority. And if you haven't woken up to that yet, it's not too late. I hear so many people, well, you guys said it earlier, right? I've gotten 3 phone calls in the last month of like, do you think I should get Bitcoin, right? These are people that have known that I've been in Bitcoin for some time, and that I talk to about it on a regular basis, and like they're being triggered. Either they're being triggered by Trump, or they're being triggered by the price, or they're, you know, being triggered by it being more prevalent in the news. But I'm hopeful because this is very early to be getting those calls in a bull cycle. Usually I get those calls near the top, and we're just breaking into all-time highs. And we know from the cycles, and we know from the amount of news flow that's happening around the globe, that we could have quite a ways to go before we hit a top. But so, you know, you try and lead those people into a long-term acquisition mindset, not, oh, I'm going to buy it, sell it, and then get my house. I'm going to buy it, sell it, then get whatever they're trying to get. You really have to take care of those people, right? We want them to become Bitcoiners. We want this to benefit their entire life, their family, their future generations, not just to get XYZ item. So it starts with hodling. Then at some point, we're going to move into medium of exchange and all the financial services that are built around that. But there's still so much to do in just getting Bitcoin in people's hands.
100%. 100%. Well, Paul, we are getting to the top of the hour, and I do want to take advantage of the 2,167 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X, and the roughly 100 of you guys watching live on Rumble. Paul, do you have any last words for the audience? If anyone's just tuning in, smash the like button. You're listening to Simply Bitcoin, Nico, Opti, and we have Paul, CEO of Byte Federal, joining us today as a guest. Paul, all yours.
I guess if I was going to leave a message for people about Bitcoin, it really is. It's a financial hack, that's obvious, but it's a life hack also. And I think once you start to stack Bitcoin, you'll start to achieve an amount of wealth that you may have never thought possible, that if you commit to it, right? It's like anything. Like if you do a diet for a week, you lose some weight, you gain it back. You do diet for a year, you could probably permanently lose that weight. You do a diet for 4 years, you're going to be in incredible shape. Bitcoin's the same way. If you start stacking and you stack long term, you'll turn around 4 years from now and you'll be blown away at the amount of wealth that you acquired by saving $25, $50, $100 a week or a month, or whatever you can do. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be Michael Saylor. It will have a dramatically positive impact on your life at whatever dollar amount you can add to the network. And when I say, like, that's obvious from the financial perspective, but it's going to change your mindset. You're going to go from this fiat mindset of racing to the end to a whole different mental perspective of, I have built wealth, I have bettered myself, I've bettered my family's position, and you're going to start to think long-term about all the great things you can achieve in this lifetime. You're going to move from nihilism to a positive mindset that's going to attract great things in your life. All you have to do is stack a little bit and do it consistently and do it with faith, and it will work. So I really believe Bitcoin has far better impacts, or bigger impacts for humanity, than just finance. And if you get rich along the way, if that's your motivation, God bless you, that's going to be awesome. But at the end of this, you're going to turn around and you're going to be like, holy smokes, it has completely changed my life. So get on board, stack.
Love that. Love that. All right, everybody. This was Simply Bitcoin Live for November 29th, 2024. I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving weekend. Also, it is Black Friday, so we do have a special promo code for you guys, Stamp Seed. If you use Simply over the weekend, you not only get 15% off, you get 21% off. So head over to stampseed.com today. If you guys enjoyed the show, smash the like button. Consider subscribing. I'm your co-host, Nico, my legendary host, Opti, who's in the host seat today. He's going to be taking the host seat every Friday, by the way, because he's been crushing it recently. And of course,
wait. That means maybe we'll get memes back. I'm the captain now. We might be getting memes back. Don't hold me to it, though. Don't hold me to it.
And of course, our guest, Paul, he's the CEO of Byte Federal, Head over to bitefederal.com today to find out more
Love you
information.
guys. Thank you so
All right,
much.
everybody. We are Simply Bitcoin, and we'll see you on the next one. Paul, if you can hang out 30 seconds backstage. Here we go.
It's brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.